What everybody, Pastor Nick, just something to think about. These little quick videos are putting out just to give you some consideration on some topics. The other day I was thinking about how God often works in the life of believers. This is going to be great, good part, but also maybe a challenge. But I've learned walking with God and actually studying the scriptures, there are times where God will prevent something, times where God will walk you through something, and times that God, it won't officially change until you go to see him. Prevent, walk you through. Once you see him, once God culminates it, then it's no longer an issue. Now, I know some people may have a problem with the last thing, but let me explain that part. Sometimes we love the preventative part. So we're just like Mary and Martha in John 11, where we said, Jesus, had you been here, right, you would have prevented this. You would have stopped our brother from dying. But there is a preventative part. And we see that throughout scripture that, God will block something, God will stop something. And before it gets you, boom, prevention. You don't have to go through much with it. You ain't got to deal with it much because God will block it. When we were growing up in church, they would say he'll protect you from danger seen and unseen. There's a whole lot of things, though, that while God prevents stuff, there's a lot of things God will walk you through. Salvation is not God delivering you out of the human experience. Salvation is God walking you through the human experience. We think because we're saved, we shouldn't have to deal with certain things. But the reality is the scripture shows us that you will have trouble in this life. Jesus tells us you will have trouble in this life. I don't like it as much as you do. I wish God would prevent every trouble, every storm, every problem, and live a stress-free life. But it's not like that. A lot of things, God will walk us through it. He'll bring you out of some stuff. Some things he will walk you through it. You're going to have to deal with it and ask for his wisdom and his guidance along the way as he guides you through the problem. Some stuff, the problem will come up. He'll shut it down, take you right out of it. Other things, God will walk you through it. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Going back to the example of Lazarus, Jesus was guiding them through the process of their brother being sick and then dying and then him raising him up. God will walk you through what he doesn't take you out of. And it can be very challenging sometimes. But when you read the Psalms, you'll read about God, help me. Why am I going through this? Deliver me from this. And you'll notice God walking the person through that particular season. And understanding that what God doesn't deliver you out of, he will guide you through, take you by the hand and walk you through it. And then there are some things that won't change until we go see him. Again, Jesus says you're going to have trouble on this earth. As long as you're alive, there's going to be some trouble. As long as you're alive, you're going to deal with a sinful nature. That ain't going nowhere. You're going to have temptation. You're going to have struggles because why? A part of our human existence involves in sin is temptation and trouble. But when we go see Jesus, when God wraps it all up, we'll be at peace with him. We'll be delivered from the troubles of this world. This is not a stress-free walk, nor is it a walk where you're suffering and struggling every single day. Stress and suffering is a part of the process. It's not the whole process. But our job is to trust God that whether he chooses to prevent something or quickly deliver us out of it, or he chooses to walk us through something, or trusting God that won't change on this earth, will experience a great change and deliverance when we go to see him. But either way, however God decides to do it, we have to trust him with his process and know and trust and believe that God knows what he's doing. He's God and we're not. And some things won't make sense until we go to see him. But trust God either way. God has you. God is surrounding you. God is taking care of you. He loves you. And he's keeping you. And what he doesn't deliver you from, he will sustain you through. And some things, again, the way out is for God to walk you through it. Why? Because there's some things in the process you have to learn. There are some things for transformation that God's going to do in your life in the process. There's a purpose for the process. So we have to ask God, Why am I experiencing this process? Teach me what I need to learn so you can walk me out of this season. Some things God prevents, some things he'll walk you through, and some things won't completely change until you go to see him. But either way, trust God. Keep walking with him. Keep living. Keep pursuing him. God has you. He is for you. And as they say, all will be well. God bless you all. Just something to think about. We'll talk to you again sometime soon.